Welcome to Mick and Roman's Mental Health Radio Empire. And it's just Mick again tonight. If you're tuning in from Spoon, hello and welcome. If you are listening to this on YouTube or Anchor or Spotify or any other platform, hello and welcome. I am excited to talk to all of you again. Today's discussion is going to be on depression, which is something I'm assuming that a lot of us deal with. So yeah, that's a topic I know quite well. So I'm waiting for more people to come into Spoon. And if you're listening from YouTube, please subscribe and like. Leave me comments on anything you want me to talk about. Hopefully next time I will have Roman with me. Roman is at work tonight. So that is why Roman is not here with me. So let's jump into it. Depression. A lot of people think this just means being sad or feeling sad. And I've talked to some people in the past that kind of have a negative opinion about depression. They think that people who suffer from depression are just kind of overdramatic and they're not in touch with reality. That's what some people believe. Oh, well, you're just so sad, you just can't really do anything else, snap out of it. And that doesn't help. I've had people tell me that before, and I'm telling you that does not help at all. So what it is a chemical imbalance in the brain. And I think this is something that has to do with environmental factors while you're growing up, things that you're dealing with. But I think that we have some semblance of control. That's not to say that everybody can just control, when they're depressed and when they're not. Sometimes it comes out of nowhere and it levels you for days. Sometimes you can't get out of bed. Sometimes you can't make yourself take a shower. Sometimes you don't even have the energy or motivation to make something to eat or drink. And I understand that. It is difficult. It is difficult to live with. And one thing depression likes to do is it likes to lie to us. It likes to tell us how bad things are. It blows things out of proportion and says, look how bad everything is. And it's only going to get worse from here. Why even try? It will tell you that you are not worthwhile when you really are. It will tell you that things will not get better. It will tell you everything is hopeless, pointless. But it's lying. And sometimes we don't recognize that. Well, I'd say most of the time we don't recognize that it's lying. We just kind of go with it because it's what our brain tells us. And it's something that we have to train ourselves on, to challenge those thoughts, to not just believe it and give into it. And I know I'm making it sound really easy to not be depressed, but I assure you, anyone who's dealt with depression in the past, especially severe depression, knows just how difficult and debilitating it can be. So I'm not making light of this at all. I'm not saying that it is something that is easy to get rid of. I've spent months in a depression before. So I know how difficult it is to pull yourself out of it. But it is possible to pull yourself out of it. It does take time and it does take a hell of a lot of practice. and a lot of understanding of yourself. It takes a lot of empathy with yourself. Wow. It takes a lot of being kind to yourself. It takes a lot of self-love. But I mean, other than that, it's something that is not really easy to describe. And there are those counselors who know what they know from a book because they learned it in school. And so they're like, "Oh, I know how to deal with that. I know how to deal with depression." And I'm guessing some of these counselors have never actually gone through a depression in their lives. They don't know what that feels like. They know what the book says it feels like, right? But I like to talk to people who have dealt with what we feel. I like to talk to people and listen to people who have been where I am, have have dealt with it and coped with it in a way maybe they don't, I'm not saying they don't suffer with it anymore, but maybe less frequently, or they figured out something that worked for them. And that's the stuff I want to hear. That's the stuff I'm interested in because learning it out of a book, you don't have any life experience with it. I mean, I think that there are a lot of merits to talking to a professional. I think they do have a lot of tools at their disposal that we might not always think of or might not even know about. And depression can get so bad that some people will self-harm. Some people lose their lives to depression because they don't see a way out. And there's a reason that I really like Project Semicolon because I almost lost my life to depression. So while I can't say I know what everybody feels in depression, I can say I've kind of been there. I mean, I do understand, but I won't say I know what it feels like for someone else. Everybody feels it kind of differently. Everybody goes through it a little differently. And I think there's a lot of people who are coping with it, who do have coping mechanisms and might not even know it. Certain things that they do can help them, and they don't even know that that's what they're doing. For me, one of the things that I've found that can kind of snap me out of it if I can get the motivation to do it is cold water immersion. And that is something I have a really hard time convincing people of. That's something I have a hard time like conveying to people how important that can be, how effective that can be. Because people hear cold water and they're like, nope, they nope right out of there. They don't want nothing to do with that. But I can tell you from firsthand experience that it does work. And there's a lot of reasons why that works. I mean, they've done some studies. I've googled it, I've looked it up. There's definite benefits to cold water immersion. Tony Robbins, before he goes on stage, he will put himself in 50-degree water for like 10 minutes because it's a natural mood boost. Gives you those endorphins, that dopamine that we all search for. It increases your immunity. I mean, it just makes you feel good. That's why I started trying it with depression. But it doesn't cease to amaze me how many people I tell about this and they're like, "Oh no, I could never do that. I'm not going to do that. Nope." So essentially they're saying to me, I would rather deal with the symptoms of my depression and feeling the way I feel rather than get in a cold shower for a little bit. And that shows just how kind of out of proportion we perceive things when we are depressed. Now, I know that it is a little painful sometimes, that cold water, but I do it in a way I figured out that if I do it to where it's like a shock to the system, I can only stay in it for 30 to 60 seconds. However, if I gradually turn the hot water down and the cold water up, I can stay in it a lot longer because I give myself time to acclimate to it a little bits at a time. And that actually works to where I can stay in the cold water for 10, 20 minutes. And it's almost ice cold by the time I'm where I want to be. And I can stay in that for almost 10 or 20 minutes. And it really does help. And if you do that, if you incorporate that to the end of your shower routine, like, yeah, it takes a little bit extra time, but then it's not painful when you do it that way. That's just one of my coping mechanisms. I'm not saying that that's going to work for everybody. And I'm not telling everybody, go jump in a cold shower if you're feeling depressed. I'm just saying this is something that I've found that works for me and I really like it. So I want to kind of give that to other people, but it ain't for everybody. Not everybody's going to be rushing to jump in a cold shower. I don't think I'm going to have a whole lot of people in Spoon tonight. I had forgotten to post on Discord that I was going to be going live. So we may not have a lot of people on Spoon tonight, but I'm hoping that a lot of people see this on YouTube and share it with other people. The big thing I want everybody to know who suffers with depression is you are not alone. And one of the most effective things I've found that helps with depression is talking to someone who cares. Talking to someone who might sympathize. Someone who might have been there. Talking with other people seems to help so much for me. And I'm not really sure why that is, because for me, talk therapy didn't really do a lot. I did about, I want to say, like 3 years of talk therapy. And it didn't always help. It was, sometimes I would come out of there feeling defeated. Like it didn't help, like it didn't do anything. But sometimes if I talk to someone who's a friend or who's been there before, who knows what I'm going through, sometimes that does more for me. I mean, with talk therapy, I learned a lot of coping skills, right? And I'm sure other people out there who have talked to counselors about depression before, I'm sure they'll tell you very similar things. Counting to a certain number, 5 or 10, watching your breathing, grounding. Grounding works for me sometimes. That's more for anxiety, though, I think. But it does work sometimes. But these are all things that a counselor might tell you. But somebody who suffers from depression might tell you something totally different that works for them. Like I've had friends who will just kind of isolate themselves and listen to a lot of music. And they might do that for a few hours and then they feel better. I've had some people who wanted to go for a walk and drank a lot of water, and that worked for them. There is no one size fits all approach to dealing with depression. There really isn't. I wish there was. But I want everybody who hears this to kind of think about it, to think about what depression is like for you, what that feels like, and what are the effects of it. Like, do you find it harder to get out of bed? Do you find it harder to do basic things of self-care like shower or eat? Do you find it harder to be around other people and have conversations? Do you find it harder to be in the presence of other people? That is a big one for me. For me, depression makes me isolate like crazy. Like, sometimes when the depression hits me really hard, I don't want anything to do with other people being around me. Sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't bother me so much. It all depends. And it's hard for me to separate out, well, this is because of my depression, and this is because of my borderline personality disorder, and this is because of my anxiety. It's hard to section that out. Because sometimes when I'm in a depressive state, I'm also dissociating really hard, which is a borderline trait. And so I no longer have any emotion. I no longer know what I'm thinking. I just exist, empty and hollow. So sometimes it's hard for me to differentiate the two. I just know, fuck the world, I'm not getting out of bed, you know? But when you think about what that looks like for you when you're in depression, and you hear suggestions of things to try, one of our first instincts, and I think it's a defense thing, is we'll dismiss it. Nope, that won't work for me. But we have to give things a chance. If we haven't tried it before, we have to give it that chance that it could work. And if you try it and it doesn't work, you won't have lost anything. But if it does work, you will have gained a lot. You will have gained a new coping strategy that works for you. I mean, everybody's a little bit different, so, it doesn't surprise me that no one has figured out a one-size-fits-all. And I don't think anyone ever will, because everybody's different. And for me, one of the biggest tools I can use to combat my depression is self-love. And what I mean by that is the way we talk to ourselves. We have to watch how we speak to ourselves. Because if we talk down to ourselves, it's going to make it so much worse. But if we can communicate to our own mind with love and understanding, it makes things a lot easier. Now, I'm not saying that 100% of the time it's going to make your depression magically go away, but neither does a pill. Sometimes the pills take time to build up in your system, and that works for some people, but not others. That's why there are so many different antidepressants. And I am not bashing anyone who takes antidepressants, because I used to take antidepressants, and that, while it didn't work for me, it worked for some other people around me. I did have one pill that did work really well for me, but I did not like the side effects at all. And the side effects were so severe in my case, that I stopped taking the pill. So for me, antidepressants don't work. For other people, sometimes they do. Welcome, everybody that has just joined me. Someone on Spoon said, I hold on to my stuffed animals too. I like downloading music that is the whole hour version and listen to that one song forever. And that is awesome. If that works for you, that's something to hold on to. With practicing self-love and the way that we talk to ourselves, it's something that I do even when I'm not depressed. If I do it consistently enough and I do it daily with repetition and consistency, it becomes more solid. It becomes a foundation that we can build on. And it's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. Sometimes as humans, we're wired for the negative. We'll notice a lot more of the negativity that's happening around us than we will the positivity. And it's easy for us to slide into a way of thinking that just attacks ourselves. It's a lot harder to be understanding and patient with yourself, to show yourself the love that you would show someone else, to only speak to yourself the way you would speak to a friend who's going through the same type of thing. And that's something it's tricky. It takes time, but it does help for me. And now I've got real goals that I have a sense of direction of where I'm going and what exactly I'm doing. I had a conversation not that long ago, and I told them I don't know what my purpose is. I felt like I had no purpose. Because aside from being a father and what I was doing for work, I was directionless. Those are the only things I had to hang on to. And I felt like I needed like a purpose, like something I was shooting for. And I didn't have any goals other than paying the bills, making sure my kids were taken care of. And now I have those goals. I have a clear direction that I'm heading. And that is exactly doing this. Podcasting, trying to reach other people to help them. That is my direction. That is my purpose. And even though I enjoyed doing this before, I never saw it as a quote unquote purpose. I never even thought about that. It was just something I did in my spare time. I never considered that I would try to make a career out of it or that I even could. And now I'm in a position where I kind of have to. I lost my job because of a mental breakdown. That is literally the driving force behind me losing my job. And that is not a good feeling. I'm still kind of dealing with the mental fallout from that. It's not an easy thing to deal with. Because as a man, I was told from a young age that it was my job to provide for my family. And suddenly I'm in a position where I can't provide for my family. So what exactly am I supposed to do? And this is the crux of the situation I was dealing with. Was I had a direct conflict with what I was dealing with versus what's in my head and what I was told about, how I was raised. Saying it is your job to provide for your family, and if you can't, you're a failure as a man. Because that's the way I was kind of raised, that plunged me into a huge depression. I'm still kind of dealing with that off and on, but at least now I feel like I have a goal. I have something I'm shooting for. And that's important to have those goals, to know where you want to be, and to know that I am the author of my own destiny, that my life can go in any direction that I choose for it to go. Anywhere. You know, it it's a sense of power of taking that back in my life. Say, you know what? This is what I choose. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm good at. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm not always going to be serious. I mean, today I'm kind of just more talking because depression is a big deal to a lot of people. It is not just some small thing that we go through and oh, he'll be fine. It's one thing that scares me about depression and the other mental health issues that I have is one thing that I'm dealing with, my borderline. 10%, that's the number of people with borderline personality disorder who end up taking their own lives, who lose the battle. 10%. That means for every million people who have it, 100,000 lose their lives to it. And that scares the shit out of me. That's a big number. And then looking back on my experiences, seeing how close I came to that, it made sense. And I think that's why I try to help people who are going down that road or who have attempted the same thing. Because now that I know, with the tools that I have, that I can fight back and I can be where I want to be, man, I want to share it with other people. I want to help other people. I want to reach as many as I can. And I want to talk about the different mental health issues that we have. And I want to talk about the law of attraction, how we can use that to change it, how we can use that to make our lives better. Now, I'm not talking about money, although that would help me a lot right now. And I feel like that would help my mental health too, but probably not. I just think it will. I'm talking about using the law of attraction to attract a happier life, to attract that positive mental health that we're after. I want to attract such happiness into my life and fulfillment because I haven't known that. Sometimes I think, if I won the lottery, and let's just say I ended up with like $300 million, or just to put a number on it, right? What would I do with myself? It might make me happy in the short term, right? Life is about finding those small bits of happiness. That would definitely make me happy in the short term. But after a while, I'd probably get bored with it, honestly. I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I wouldn't have to work anymore. But I would still choose to because I don't want that boredom. I have dealt with that boredom before when I was a stay-at-home parent, and it drove me crazy. Now, knowing the things that I know and being in the position that I'm at mentally, now I know that if I had that money, I could reach a lot more people, and I would put it to use and invest in myself and create businesses. And I would dump so much money into my podcasting just so I could reach more people. Not because it would pay me back, not because it would make me rich, but because it's what I want to do. That's how you know, I think. I think that's how you know what your purpose is. If you had millions of dollars and you didn't have to work anymore, what would you do? What would you do with your life? Not like in the short term, like, oh, I would buy this and I would buy that, because everybody can think of stuff like that. But go a little deeper. What would you do with your life? What direction would your life take? What would you do for work just so you wouldn't be bored all the time? Because I used to think, well, shit, if I had that kind of money, I'd just sit on my ass and watch TV all the time. I'd probably get pretty fat. I just watch TV and drink beer all the time. Then I was like, well, that'd be kind of a boring life. I want experiences. I want to provide my children with experiences. I want to take them to different countries. I want to take them to theme parks like Universal Studios or Disney World or something like that. Like, I want to buy them experiences that right now I would not be able to afford. But how would I get there? How do I get there from where I'm at now? I'm gonna tell you one thing: it damn sure ain't winning the lottery, because the odds are so stacked against you. It's unreal. So right now, my direction could get me there, could take me there. I'm not doing this just because I think it might make me rich over the next 20 or 30 years. I'm doing this because it gives me a sense of reaching other people, helping other people, and that means a lot to me, because I'm in my personal life, I am the giver. I am the person that if somebody else is hurting, I'm there to help them out. I'm the one I'm like, hey, I got your back. I will listen to your issues. I will give you advice. I will help you in any way that I can. That's me. The way that I've been doing it in the past leaves no time for myself, leaves no energy for myself, because I'm so busy giving to other people that I don't stop and take care of my own needs, and I end up giving all my energy away. You know, and that's something I have to watch. That's one of my weaknesses, because I want to help so much. And at least this limits me on what I can do. So I set aside time and I do my podcasts and I upload to the different platforms that I have. And it's metered. Like, I'll only do it for an hour. And then I'll go spend some time with my kids, or I'll kind of isolate a little bit, or I'll do something creative like Christmas and Yule and all that. That's coming up. And since I don't have any money right now, I'm just making everyone gifts because I'm kind of artsy and I can do that and I don't have money. So, and I have all the stuff I need already. So I'm just going to do that. And I've been told by a lot of people that means more than just buying somebody something, which is what I've always done in the past. I just buy people stuff. And I'm really bad at it too. I'm like really bad at buying gifts for people. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if I'm just unobservant, but a lot of the time I have no idea what to get them. And then I get them like I don't know. I've given my dad like a wallet one time. I think I gave him a watch once. Like, just generic, simple gifts. But I digress. Ooh, etching glass. That's a really cool thing. I don't know how to do that. I would love to learn that because I like to do um, wood burning and I have a Dremel. So I like to do 3D engravings. I have supplies to paint. I do enjoy doing that. I've only really done it once since high school, but it came out really, really good. I did a painting of the Joker, like half of the Joker's face for Roman. I actually did that for Roman a while back, and I gave it to him, and he loves it. It's hanging up in the studio right now. Let's see what else I can draw, and I have all kinds of pens, pencils, colored pencils, markers. I even have these really cool markers that are like brush tip. But I don't do that kind of stuff very often anymore, and I think that's something I need to get back into. And I also play music. I have 3 guitars sitting in my studio right now. I have 2 6-string electric guitars and I have an 8-string electric. And I don't do that very much either. But that's something I really enjoy doing because I like to write music. So knowing all these things, I can look at it and say, well, I guess I've got a lot of different coping skills. But why don't I use them? Like, I don't know. Executive dysfunction, maybe. And that's where you want to do the thing, you need to do the thing, you know you want to do the thing, but you can't make yourself do the thing. And that's a tricky place to be. A diamond bit, a diamond drill bit. I have for the Dremel. I think I have some diamond tipped bits. Sandblasting would be cool. The acid. Do you like spray that on, or do you brush it on, or what? But another thing we can do is to find something that we want to do, a skill we want to learn. Do you want to know a new language? Download something like Duolingo or mess with Google Translate. Um, do you want to learn how to play the guitar? Do you want to learn how to write stories? Do you want to learn how to do coding on a computer? Do you want to run people's social media for them? Like, learn a skill. And now, with the internet, we have all of the information that the human race has pretty much ever had at our fingertips. And we do nothing with it. Literally nothing. Every now and then we might Google something if we're curious or if we're in an argument with someone else. But we have an infinite amount of knowledge at our fingertips and we don't use it. So I think a good thing to do is to use it. Learn a new skill. Have it be something you can be passionate about or something you just want to do in your free time sometimes. And who knows, it could turn into a coping skill. It could be something that really helps you to pull out of depression or anxiety or dissociation or whatever you're going through. It's something that I'm looking at. I'm learning new skills. But I decided at one point that I was actually going to use some of the knowledge out there. I've worked on my own car a couple of times. I'm not a mechanic by any stretch of the imagination. But if there's something I don't know how to do, I will get on YouTube and I will look for a video on how to do what I'm doing on that car, that specific car. And then I watch them do it and I'm learning. And then I do it. And it's like, wow, okay, I just did that. Doing that, I've changed out a transmission, and I've changed out, AC compressors and alternators and different parts, and it kind of gives you that. Wow, I guess I can do this, and that's not something I get very much, in my day to day life. I'm usually full of doubt and uncertainty. It's really hard for me to make decisions sometimes because I get paralyzed by the choices. There's too many, you know, and I don't remember where I was going with that. I don't know. One of the things about my depression, and I was talking with somebody else earlier about this, was you can't tell I'm depressed sometimes because I use humor in a way to help other people. It also covers up any signs of depression for other people to see. So I might be a total goofball, and I have people tell me, dude, you're so funny. You're the life of the party. You're so funny. I never would have guessed you had depression. And like, the one person that comes to mind is the one that saddens me the most of someone that has lost their fight with depression. And that's Robin Williams. He was the same exact way. He was such a goofball. He would put all his energy into making you laugh, into making you feel more at ease. And then other people were like, I can't believe he had depression. And that's something that some of us do because it deflects that attention. But at the same time, we feel like we're helping somebody else. We're making them laugh. And the people who know me know I am a goofball. I do impressions and stuff. And I was talking to this person earlier about some of the impressions that I do. I mean, they've heard me do them on air before. Because I like to do Peter Griffin sometimes. Hey, Joe. Hey, Joe, what are you doing? Peter. Peter, I'm afraid I'm going to have to put you under arrest. Catch me, Joe. Yeah. Just little stuff like that. Make people laugh.
Get your ass over here, you little piglet son bitch.
You wish you could do that. It's one of the talents that I have that I constantly get put on the spot for. Roman was asking me how I do Gollum, so I was trying to explain the process, explain what I do.
What's Tater's precious?
And I can't explain it. I just do it. But it was hilarious to hear him try. But he wants to be able to do that as well. I mean, if you're a fish, it might be a threat. Oh. But I'll tell you what, sometimes when I deal with depression, you know what I do? I have me a propane fire, and I grill on it. I tell you what. I don't know. But I'm interested to see what everyone else thinks. If you're listening to me on YouTube, drop me comments below about what depression looks like for you, and if you have any coping skills that work for you or different ones you've tried that maybe didn't work. What I'm hoping for is that people who read the comments might see something that they hadn't thought of and it might help them. Don't forget to drop a like, hit that subscribe button for me. It helps out the channel because the more likes I get, it'll keep suggesting it to more and more people, my videos. If you're not on my YouTube, the link is in the notice box. For my Spoon listeners, my Discord link is in the notice box. And for my YouTube people, my Discord link is in the description of the video. What in the world was that? My phone. My phone. You know, a really bad coping skill that I have, and I say that it's bad because it does me absolutely zero good, but it's something I consistently do, and I just waste time messing with my phone. It's like it's like the worst thing I could possibly do because I don't actually do anything. Sometimes I get that scroll paralysis where I'll just scroll Facebook for an hour or two, and then I'll get in on Instagram and I'll scroll that for an hour or two. But something that's been helping me lately is having meaningful conversation. And it could be about different mental health stuff. Could be about depression, could be about whatever. It could be about things from my life or from their life. But that's been helping me. I don't really do the phone paralysis thing much anymore. But I am stuck on streaming Hulu shows. Oh my god. Like I will sit and watch like a season. I'm watching Vikings right now. I finished season 6 and then immediately started season 1. Started all the way over. And I'm like, "Why do I do this?" And it's because I think I'm distracting myself from being in my head. It's almost like if I don't think about it, it ceases to exist for a little while. You know, because even when I get up, whether it's to go to the bathroom or go smoke or get a drink or whatever it is that I'm doing, I'm thinking about the show that I'm watching. I'm not thinking about the stuff that's in my head. And I think that's why we do that to ourselves, to why we get the scroll paralysis, why we immerse ourselves in shows and things like that, is to distract us. I used to, but now it's scrolling my EMS class textbook. Yeah, but see, that's a good thing. I mean, you're still distracting yourself, however, in a much more helpful manner because it's going to be stuff that you're going to need to know on tests and in your class. See, that's a lot more helpful than getting stuck watching TV or playing with your phone for hours on end. Would it be helpful to read it for a little bit at a time and then later read a little bit more? And so you're taking the information and you're putting it in bite-sized chunks instead of all at once. I'm wondering if that would be helpful. And something that really helped me when I was in school was I used to have a little tape recorder and I would record like the lessons or the lectures and I could play them back later and that would help me because I daydream constantly like when I was in school. So that helps me too, but doesn't help everybody. The other good news is, and my Spoon people know this, but my YouTube and Anchor people probably don't, is that I have merch set up now. And if there's anything that's on that list or that's not on that list that you would like to see there, let me know. Shoot me a message, drop me a comment, whatever it may be. I'm going to go ahead and put the store name, that link in the description of the video on YouTube. And for those of my Discord people, you already have it. Because I think I dropped that a few days ago. But I'm pretty excited about that because I'm going to be my own best customer for a little while. I'm going to be a walking advertisement because people are going to be like, what is that? What is that logo? And then I will launch into the whole explanation of what I do. And I think that's awesome. So I'm hoping that as this starts to get a little bigger, people get a hold of some of that merch because they're going to have the same kind of conversations with other people. Other people are going to be like, what is that? And then you can tell them and refer them. Because I'm just hoping that everybody who comes in is going to find at least one video, one episode that speaks to them. And if it doesn't, and you have suggestions, the comments are always there. My inbox is open on the on Discord. Shoot me a message. Drop a comment on YouTube, something like that. Yes, I want to get that merch to spread you around the world. Right? Well, let's start smaller first. Like, I have no delusions about being all over the world quite yet, but one day, maybe. One day. One day, I want to sit down to an interview with Lewis Howes or Tony Robbins. That's what I want to do. I want to be on that level someday. But until then, I have Spoon and I have YouTube and I have Anchor, which also, by the way, automatically drops my episodes on Spotify. So if you know someone who uses Spotify, you can tell them about this channel because it's called the same thing, Mick and Roman Mental Health Radio Empire, because that's what I'm building, a mental health radio empire. I want a world where we don't have to worry about talking about mental health issues. I want a world where people realize that mental health is just as important as physical health and can actually impact your physical health. It can make you sick. I want a world where there is no stigma attached to talking about mental health problems. I want as many people that can see your podcast as possible because it has helped me and it has barely started. Oh, thank you. Right. I mean, even though I've been doing this for a few months, it hasn't really been consistent, so it's been, hit and miss until recently. And I've been doing everything I can. Now I have merch, I've got an Instagram, I've got a Facebook now. Shit, what else? I don't know. I've been busy because I set up the Anchor, the Spotify, the YouTube, the Instagram, the Shopify, the Facebook. There's more. I know there is. I just can't remember. I can't can't fully process it right now. The more people, the better. That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. And not everybody who sees my stuff or not everybody who hears my podcast is going to like it. Right? It's not gonna resonate with everybody. Not everybody's gonna get something out of it. Some people are still of the mind that, well, if you have mental health problems, you're just weak. There are still people who believe this. I have been told this in the past. Like, my dad is 71, and he comes from the age where, well, if you have depression, you're just weak and you need to toughen up. I shit you not. That is what he thinks. And I love my dad to death, and I'm not talking any shit on him. But the world is bigger than we think it is. The world does not always work the way we were trained to believe that it works. And I wish my dad could understand that. I really do. I have tried to explain this to him. He just kind of brushes it off. He is upset with me for not having a quote unquote real job. Even if this podcasting was to start paying me $5,000 a month, he would still rather I have a quote unquote real job where I go punch a time clock and like I don't really get that. Cuz I'm like, right now this isn't paying me very much. It is paying me something, but it's not enough to live on, but it will be. That is the direction I'm going. And my dad's just going to have to keep up. My brother will be on soon. I am going to have an interview at some point. And then I have some people from the military that have agreed to come on the show and talk about mental health issues in the military. That's going to be a big episode, I think. It's going to be a big one. Because then they're going to start spreading the word too. All right. I got about 2.5 more minutes. There's a little ASMR for you. Will you include nurses and medical field at some point? Absolutely. Absolutely. If I can find people who are in that field to interview and to bring on the air and talk about, then absolutely I would include nurses and medical field personnel. Yeah. Yeah. Like EMSs, EMTs, nurses, doctors. Yeah, I would absolutely be interested in having them on the show to discuss things like that. Who knows? I might start having people from all different walks of life and careers to be calling in and talk about the different things that they go through. Like when Roman first started doing this, I had intended to have him and his wife on as like interviewees. I was going to interview them. I had intended in the very, very, very beginning to do this by myself. But then he became such a popular part of the show because him and I have this good back and forth that he became integral to the show. And I can't really see doing it without him. But all right, I think that's going to do it for this one. Until next time, I want everybody to be kind to yourself. Have understanding and patience with yourself. You are loved. You are worthy. You matter. I'll see y'all next time.